So welcome back. This is the third vlog. In this one I'm going to be looking at our trip to Aysgarth Falls. Just a little review of the site. A little look at Aysgarth Falls themselves. And then finishing off with how we found the caravanning experience. We chose Aysgarth because it's only about 2 hours away from us. Most of that is on motorways. Just the final little bit and the first little bit were on A roads. So not too stressing for the first trip. We chose Aysgarth again because we really like the area. Aysgarth Falls is halfway between Hawes and Leyburn, both of which we've visited many times, and we like them both very much. Aysgarth we have been to for a little trip, but we've never really explored, well, I've never really explored the falls, so it was a chance to do that. We were only there for 3 nights, so didn't have much chance to do anything else. The weather wasn't particularly great for 2 of those days, and also both Leyburn and Hawes were very, very busy. We couldn't even park in Hawes. Leyburn we managed to park, but there were that many people about, it wasn't really a comfortable experience. So most of our trip was about the actual falls themselves. We did manage another little run out to Semmerwater. So if anybody's not been to Semmerwater in the area, it's well worth the trip. Aysgarth Falls, the campsite itself is actually attached to the Aysgarth Falls Hotel. Very nice hotel. So if you want a meal out, I can highly recommend it. Also nice for a pint or two. So again, very convenient for a relaxing little break. The site itself is relatively small. There's only 12 pitches for caravans, motorhomes, camper vans. They all have electric hookup. None of them are fully serviced. 10 of them are on hard standing and 2 are actually on grass at the bottom end of the site. When it comes to other facilities, it's not particularly well resourced. There's a campsite, quite a large campsite attached, and I think it's mostly for the campers. There are some toilet sheds and shower sheds, nothing more glamorous than that, which are basic but serviceable. There's a couple of outdoor sinks. For the ones in motorhomes and camper vans, there's no dump for your grey water. So it's a matter of, if you've got a wastemaster, you can put it into the wastemaster and tip it out. But there's like an open drain, nothing particularly great. There's also a chemical toilet disposal unit, which is covered by a metal lid, which can be quite heavy for anybody who's not too fit and mobile. I suppose the main reason people would stop there is it is very convenient for a number of local attractions and local towns. I went down to the falls themselves, and it's feasible to walk it. It's not that far away from the campsite itself. In fact, the major problem is not the distance. The major problem is that it's on a bit of a slope. There's quite a steep road down to the falls, and to get across to the side where you have access to the falls, there's a narrow bridge with no footpath. So those with toddlers might like to think twice about walking down there, and those who maybe have a bit of a problem walking up and down hills, and definitely if you're in a wheelchair, it's not advisable. However, there is a car park and a visitors centre off the main road, so it's completely feasible to drive down to the visitors centre, not far at all from the campsite, and from there it's walkable to the upper falls. A bit of a slope, but it's not too bad, it's not very far. To get to the middle falls is not very far. To get to the lower falls, which I think are maybe the most attractive ones to have a look at, it's about half a mile away. So again, bear that in mind, but as long as you're reasonably mobile, it's okay. Hopefully there'll be some clips running alongside this so you can see what it's like. But bear in mind that when we visited, we'd had some heavy rain just before, so the river was quite full, so the falls were quite spectacular. The other place we visited was Semmelwater. I'd never been there. Pat's been there, and that again is well worth the trip. There's only two natural lakes in the Dales. One is Malham Tarn, which is well known, and the other one is Semmelwater, which is less well known and less easy to get to. So if you're travelling up there, if you're planning to travel in a motorhome or a camper van, it's doable, but the roads are very narrow, so be warned. If you meet somebody coming the other way, we managed to scrape past in our car, but motorhome and camper van, you can have a bit of a struggle. There's a little beach there, Gravel Beach. A very pleasant place to go for a picnic, but beware, the car park on the beach is owned by a local farmer, and apparently is a bit of a tartar. So you're supposed to pay at the farm before you go and use the facilities. We were totally unaware of this. We went on and had our sandwiches and then cleared up. But reading afterwards, he's been down there and there's been a few upsets with people. So it's maybe worthwhile paying a small amount of money just to park there to avoid any scenes. So how did we find the caravanning experience? Towing, no problem. In fact, it was quite pleasant. Got on the motorway, and I found that you find a lorry that's travelling more or less the same speed, tuck in behind, and off you go. You have no problems at all. Getting on the A roads, again, no major problems, but it can be a bit of an issue when you get somewhere like the Dales where you've got a lot of cyclists about, because they seem totally oblivious that they're blocking the road off, and if you're stuck behind them and there's a queue of cars behind you, it can be a bit frustrating. But on the whole, no problems with the towing. When we got onto the site itself, a bit of a tight bend at the bottom, and in my naivety, I didn't give enough room to get round, so I ended up going backwards and forwards a few times to get the car around the corner, and that was much to the amusement of some of the seasoned caravanners who, it was a pleasant evening. They were all sat outside watching me trying to manoeuvre. Pitches aren't serviced, so apart from the electric hookup, so we relied heavily on our Aquaroll and Wastemaster. And being totally new to caravans after coming from static vans, totally used to just getting in there, switching everything on, everything being on tap, literally, and having no problems at all. Walking past the other caravanners, the number of times that I ended up doing it was there was questions about whether we had leaks in the caravan, because I was filling up literally 3 times a day and emptying the Wastemaster out 3 times a day. So that's something we're going to have to come to grips with. I'll either get very fit, or we'll get a bigger roll and Wastemaster, or we'll learn to be more economical with the water. The only other issue we had was, and I mentioned this before in the previous vlogs, we've got a Phoenix 640, and we've had a few issues with the bed slats at the front. I tend to snore a fair bit, so one of the reasons we chose the layout we did is that Pat can have peace and quiet at the back, and I don't disturb because there's a bathroom in between with 2 solid doors. Unfortunately, the bed slats refused to work when we got to the campsite, so I ended up sleeping on one of the settees. Fortunately, I'm not very tall, so I managed to sleep on there okay, but not terribly comfortable. You know, if you're more than 5'8", you're going to struggle with it. Plus the fact it's not very wide. So when we got back, the first thing we did was contacted our dealer, told them they hadn't resolved the problem. They booked it in to get it resolved, but of course now with COVID there's a 3-day wait from them receiving the caravan before them actually being able to go in there and do anything about it. So we're off again in a week's time. So I'm dubious that anything is going to be actually resolved with the caravan, but we'll wait and see. If it doesn't, then I will be mentioning the dealer's name, because I'm not impressed that they can't resolve this issue. They assure me that Phoenix 640s and all the Phoenix range, this is not a usual problem, but having read through forums, after reading through various forums, then a number of people have experienced similar sorts of problems. So by now they should have resolved it. Anyway, next trip, forget about the doom and gloom. Hopefully, next trip everything will be okay. We're off to Bamburgh, a bigger site, more resources, and because it's a 4-hour trip away, I'm going to split the trip and stay at Scotch Corner overnight, on the way up there, on the way back. But this time we'll get 5 nights on the site, and hopefully, depending on the weather, hopefully we'll have more time to explore roundabout and get more used to living in the caravan. So thanks for joining us. Hope you join us next time. Please put down any comments you have, and thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.